what I was doing my full-time job, but I also had a side business. You also need to follow through. You need to have action and do practical. So because you could have 4 or 5 different ideas, but if you don't actually implement those ideas, you're not going to make any progress. So even if you have a small business plan, you write it down. And even the ideas don't need to be even original. It's basically learning from the best. So what I do is either watch YouTube talks, find out from people, get some inspiration from them.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Mohammad Asib Raza, and in today's video I have with me Mr. Akeel Hassan Kazmi, all the way from United Kingdom, London. So first of all, thank you so much, sir, for joining in. And Mr. Akeel is being in the in the business development for about 5 months at City Defend, and doing freelancing at Upwork professional development for about 1.5 years. So how are you, sir? Welcome
Yeah,
on
I'm
board.
good. I'm great. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you very much for having me today.
Okay, so how did you get that idea of starting this business development with the City Defend about 5 months back? And who was the person who motivated you, or was that inner you that you decided yourself that you're going to be that business development feat?
Sure. So first of all, obviously, I guess you're looking at my LinkedIn profile, looking at my current role. So actually, I do quite a few different activities. So originally, I was working for an investment bank, so a wide variety of banks in London. And off the back of that, I did some freelancing, just like you mentioned. But what I started off with is because I was working as a business analyst and a project manager, I then said, okay, I know how to do this job. How can I help others do this job? So that's what I did. I basically set up my own company, Upskill Professional Development, and where I teach business analysis, project management, and also Scrum. So a lot of it's kind of IT related, as you can appreciate. There's a lot of Asians in IT. And then from there, I moved on to doing some helping work in terms of business development management for 2 companies. So one, City Defend, which is a cybersecurity GDPR company, and the other, which is Neuron Labs. So again, that's more of an AI consultancy. But logically, then what I did is I moved on from training into coaching. So I guess we can talk a bit about coaching as well.
Okay, sure, sir. Well, what was the purpose? Why did you switched from coaching to
Yeah.
coaching? Uh,
So I think it was a logical step. So previously, what I used to do is at City University, I mentored students. So, for example, help them with their job, their CV application, interviews, mock interviews, that type of stuff. Because I was mentored previously myself, so I wanted to give back to them and say, look, I want to help others as well. So that was one of my main kind of drivers into that. And then in addition to that, I found it very rewarding. So for me, when I'm coaching people, helping them with their jobs, so typically speaking, it's usually people who have first time become a manager, or they've made that transition into a more senior leadership role, and they don't have the training or the experience for it. So I just help them with their confidence and give them advice in terms of how they should manage other people. So they might start off as an individual contributor, but now they're managing a team. So there's more responsibilities. There's more, self-doubt. For example, people think, can I do this job? I've been promoted. Now I've actually got the job. How do I actually do it? So again, it's just giving them reassurances, providing them advice, looking at where they've been successful in the past, and building on that strength. So a lot of people, for example, have imposter syndrome. So
Well, that's really positive to see that you're helping managers to in the coaching, doing coaching, and that's all that stuff. It's very positive gesture. So now, as is discussed earlier, we will be discussing about some questions related to entrepreneurship. So if someone wants to start a new business, then how can they think of the ideas that have value in the market? Because the business starts with the idea. If you have a good idea, then you have a good chance to grow in the business. So what would be your suggestion
sure.
that how can we identify that how can we think of the ideas that have the value in the market?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, in my own experience, what I was doing my full-time job, but I also had a side business, so side hustle, whatever you want to call it. Um, And for me, I thought, okay, I'm good at this job. I can train. So that was my idea. So I can teach other people and help them, and they could do a similar job as me. So again, in terms of the idea, that's great, but you also need to follow through. You need to have action and do practical. So because you could have 4 or 5 different ideas, but if you don't actually implement those ideas, you're not going to make any progress. So even if you have a small business plan, you write it down. Okay, this is and even the ideas don't need to be even original. For example, they can be existing ideas, something that somebody's doing already well. If you take that idea and then improve on it, you can actually make it better. So I would suggest, focusing time in your evenings or weekends where you're able to dedicate and come up with an idea. Speak to a friend about it. See if is this a good idea. Speak to people obviously you trust, not everyone, who you think will give you good, wise advice. And yeah, test the market.
Exactly, utilizing your time in an effective way and thinking of the ideas and obviously discussing with friends can surely help us in identifying that idea that this is idea will going to be successful. Very well described. So now moving on to the next question, that is about earning initial money for investment, because obviously when we're starting a new business, we need good first impression in the market, and that can be made possible if we have strong investment. So what would be your suggestion that how can we get earn that initial money for our startup investment?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it really depends. Like, so for, is your business, is it product based or is it service based? So if it's product based, obviously you need capital, you need to invest into something, you're buying products, just then improving those products, selling those products. But if it's a service, so for example, in my case, I was teaching and training. So for me, it was more about my time. How can I be more efficient with my time? How can I create the content that I'm going to teach? In terms of PowerPoint slides that I'm going to be teaching, whether it's you have to print them off, create a website, but before you do all that, spend that time and money and investment, what I would suggest is to really trial the idea, get some people to read it and see if it's does this make sense. If you would like, for example, if you want to become a business analyst, what are the key things that you need to do? So speak to your peers and get advice on that. In terms of money, financial money, you can obviously ask friends and family to see if obviously they believe in your idea, and therefore if if they can back you as well, then that obviously helps. Or I guess the other option is you're looking for like bank loans, etc. um, but again, that's obviously difficult because sometimes they want some kind of collateral to offset
Yes.
that.
Yes, very well said. We have to evaluate our idea, and obviously, getting some loan from banks can also help us, but that's a difficult process,
Yeah,
obviously.
family or friends. Yeah,
Family or friends, yes,
yeah, it's difficult.
exactly.
So I think maybe friends. Yeah.
Okay, so now moving on to the next question, that is about connecting with high profile entrepreneurs, because obviously we need help from those people who have already done that kind of a business, because they have all that experience from with them, because they have done this thing over the years. So connecting with high profile entrepreneurs when you're starting a new business is also very important. So what would be your suggestion that how can we stay connected with those who have already done that kind of a business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, for me, again, it's basically learning from the best. So, what I do is either watch YouTube talks, find out from people, get some inspiration from them. Obviously, read books where people have obviously done these entrepreneur type of books. Will give you some ideas of how they done. Again, everyone's journey is different, so you might have different approaches. But the other option is also looking on LinkedIn, just like you reached out to me on LinkedIn. I would suggest other people to do the same. But in order to do that, don't just like reach out to them and say, "Oh, help me with this X, Y, Z." What I would suggest is look at their comments and their posts on LinkedIn, like their post, ask a question, engage with them, see if you get a response back, engage with other people as well, so you're keeping the conversation going. And then after posting on that, I would then send a connection request and say, look, I'm doing XYZ. Do you have a couple of minutes to give your thoughts around this? And just take it from there. And sometimes, obviously, you'll have to reach out to quite a few people to get some responses. So yeah, it's just a case of continuously engaging with people. And if you're not getting responses on the connection requests, you can always look at on their posts and just replying back to posts and seeing if you get response from that.
Exactly, engaging with their post and then talking about their interest, and then you can obviously uh, connect with them and build a relationship with them. Very well described, sir. So that concludes
Yeah.
our conversation. And is there any message you want to convey to the people here in Pakistan?
Yeah, sure. So I would suggest with entrepreneurship, business is always good. Obviously, there are some difficulties in that, but if you find something that's successful and you start out, even with something small, good idea, you can make a lot of progress. And yeah, I think you have to have a certain mindset in order for you to be an entrepreneur. Like some people are happy to work job 9 to 5 or whatever. That's fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have this idea, then I would definitely pursue those ideas, and yeah, get support from your family and your network. Yeah.
Very well said. Again, very positive words, sir. And thank you so much. And lots of love from Pakistan, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye bye.